Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about a graphic novel called Siapa by Aadi Salman. So before I actually get started, I want to emphasize that this is my first graphic novel in years. Another thing that I wish I addressed in my newbie booktube tag is the books that I review. My goal for this channel is that I would love to review books that I absolutely love. But of course, that is impossible. In order to make things different, in order to have some variety, I also have to talk about books that I did not love. I will try as hard as I can to be fair and objective. I don't believe that there's such a thing as a perfect book, just to be fair. Which category do you think this book falls into? The good one, the bad one, or the crazy one? It's the bad one. Yeah, this is a local publishing and in my native tongue. I don't think that you can find this in English. I don't know, but if you can somehow find them, then good for you. Now that I'm recommending, what is the story about? I'm going to try and translate the blurb at the back. Amy heard a rumor from Pinky about her sister Azura. This rumor is causing a rift in Pinky and Azura's relationship. And then there is this guy, Radzwil, who is sort of in the middle of the conflict between these three girls. He has had feelings for Azura for a while, for a long time, but essentially he has been friend-zoned by Azura. However, he started to have feelings for Amy, Azura's younger sister. And then last line it says, Siapa is a story about friendship, heart, and feelings. Does it make sense to you? I had to read this like 3 times in order for it to make sense. But never mind, I was still invested in it at the time. Little did I realize that those are actually tiny little red flags to show how convoluted the story is. The blurb is absolutely misleading. The conflict is non-existent. There's no story in here. I read this in less than an hour, and yet after I finished reading it, the only question that I ended up asking myself is, what did I just read? And who exactly are these people? And why after I finish reading this, I have no idea who they are? So according to the blurb, our main character is actually this guy, Radzwil. This guy has been having feelings for Azura. Azura friend-zones him. And then he starts to have feelings for Azura's younger sister, Amy. But then there's Pinky, who is like Radzwil's best friend, who also have kind of conveyed this rumor, which is not even a rumor at all. It's actually a real thing. See, I'm having trouble telling this story to you because it is so convoluted. It is, it's weird. The first chapter really focuses on Amy and trying to establish her as a character alongside Azura. And then they also establish Radzwil's character in the process on how he's being totally friend-zoned by Azura. I didn't even know that he's actually the main character because of how sidelined he is in this one. One of the good things that I like about this story is the way they set up the characters in a very natural way. Initially, I thought that Amy was the main character because we see her first. But like I said, Amy's not the main character. She barely even matters in the story. If anything, you can just remove her and nothing changed. To show the difference between Amy and Azura's personality, we see that Amy is dodging Azura's call, and then there's this mystery as if like the relationship between them is not good. And then she's making up this excuse, and at the same time she's also trying to approach her neighbor, and she's also trying to practice what she wants to say because she's nervous and she's a little bit of an introvert, which is totally opposite to her sister, who is kind of a social, a professional, and that she's even a little bit flirty. And it is also implied that Azura is having a sugar daddy, which is the reason why Amy has been dodging her sister's call, because she is uncomfortable. She doesn't want to get involved. Anyway, but it was never properly established in the beginning. It was just implied. But spoiler alert, it is definitely her sugar daddy. And Pinky was also introduced in the first chapter, where she was the one that told Azura and possibly even Radzwil about that sugar daddy thing. Part 2 also mainly focuses on Amy. You see how I thought that the story is actually about Amy? which is weird because usually if you want to establish a main character, you establish them quite early on. Maybe it's an ensemble? I thought so too.
However, I couldn't completely call it an ensemble because I barely know anything about these characters. Their journey is barely even fleshed out. And before anyone says anything, even for an ensemble story, there is always one character that stood out more than anything else. And in the case of Siapa, the blurb actually suggests that the main character is Radziwill, since he is caught between the lives of these three women. But then the story starts with Amy. And at first I thought, oh, it's gonna be like a series where we explore the journey of these characters. But then they dip into the lives of these characters in such a lazy way that I didn't know who is the story about. And well, then I guess the title of this comic is actually quite appropriate.
I thought that it was going to be Amy because chapter 2 focuses a lot on her. And then in the later chapters, it focuses on Radziwill, and then we barely focuses on Pinky, although a little bit focused on Pinky, but then Pinky's journey is mainly about Radziwill, and then we barely focuses on Azura. So anyway, part 2. Amy is still trying to dodge her sister's efforts in helping her. She wants to move places, she wants to get a new phone, she wants to get a new job. Amy still refuses because, well, she knows she's being pressured. She doesn't want anything from her sister. And then we randomly emphasize on Radziwill's and Pinky's relationship for some reason. Although Pinky and Radziwill's relationship actually ended up being one of the positive thing about this book, which was totally wasted, by the way. Part 3. Amy moves out without telling her sister. So Azura ended up tracking her and then, well, confronted her about why are you avoiding me and stuff, and then find out that it was Pinky the one that told Amy about that sugar daddy thing. There's this confrontation that they have. I know that you have a problem with me, but please don't involve my sister, okay? No, it's not like that, Azura. I just want to help you, that's all. She's your sister and you're my friend. And Azura said, oh, you're my friend? What kind of a friend slanders a friend? I know what you told Amy. I already paid back all your money. Check your account if you don't believe me. When I was reading this, it wasn't clear for me what kind of person Pinky is. I only know that she's good friends with Radziwill, but I don't know if she has malicious intent by revealing that information to Amy. I don't think so, at the very least from the way I see it, not because of the money, although she did mention it in passing, but she doesn't actually had any negative intentions towards it. I just think that she tell it out of concern. So anyway, our confrontation caused a rift between Pinky and Azura's relationship. And in the final page of part 3, we get this random thing with Radziwill kneeling in front of Azura. I feel like this Aadi Salman actually skipped through a few parts of the story. I don't know why, maybe Maple Comics edited or something, but why did they do that? I'm not sure, because it makes the story feels incomplete and, again, very convoluted. I just realized that this was originally published in Urban Comics around 2001. And while I do understand that this is supposed to be a compilation of that kind of what seems to be a weekly episode or something, I still don't understand for whom this is for and why is it published this way. Frankly speaking, I will never ever pick up anything from this publisher ever again, because it seems like they don't care enough to publish the whole story. I'd rather read a 3,000 page of something that is complete than a 100+ page of something that is so half-assed. If you're trying to tackle people who were not familiar with the story, then you have failed colossally, and if you're trying to tackle to people who have read it back in 2001, you still fail, because nobody remembers that much for a comic that was released 20 years ago. And then we see part 4. Remember in the blurb, I told you that Radziwill started to have feelings for Amy? This is the moment, and the moment passes. So the beginning of part 4, we see this tiny moment between Radziwill and Amy. Radziwill started to ask Amy out to go watch a movie, and then they had this moment where they almost touch hands. But then, so they set a date. And then Azura confronted Radziwill about it, saying that, oh, I don't like you going out with my sister. You're friends on the guy and you don't want him to have a relationship with other women? The story had a direction, but at the same time, it goes nowhere. Radziwill and Amy still show up, But Razwell bought the ticket and ended up giving both ticket to Amy, saying that, hey, you should take this ticket and watch it with your sister, and then gave some bogus excuse that he had something at home. And then we had another nice, friendly Pinky and Razwell moment. Razwell just wanted to have a haircut. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that Pinky is the owner of a hair salon. At this point, I already shipped Pinky and Razwell. Whatever his feelings was to Azura, or whatever moment that he had with Amy, I find that his relationship with Pinky is much more compelling. Part 5. So part 5 focuses on Pinky. She started getting these mysterious flowers, possibly from a secret admirer. For some reason, she assumes it to be Razwell. I don't know what drove her to that conclusion, considering Razwell is established to have feelings for Azura. And I thought that they're gonna use this mystery to create tension. At the very least, something interesting should happen, you know, in the story. But no, they literally solved it in the next page. Because apparently, the one who sent the flowers is Pinky's abusive ex-boyfriend, and then he verbally harassed Pinky, and thankfully though Razwell is there for the rescue, and he ended up punching the guy, deservedly so, because the guy is a creep. After defending Pinky and dropping her off, and then promising to sleep in the car to guard her, to watch over her, Razwell disappears for some mysterious unknown reason. I don't get it. Part 6 focuses on Amy. So Amy got a job at Pinky's hair salon. So Pinky and Amy gets closer after this situation with her ex-boyfriend. She's very scared to stay alone. So she asked Amy to accompany her to stay at a hotel. And coincidentally, they bumped into Azura and her sugar daddy at the hotel. Yes, I want to be able to understand her situation, but I'm sorry, I cannot empathize with someone who is unapologetically a hypocrite. And then, guess what happens? Amy got a letter from her sister saying that, Amy, please don't follow me again. Mind your own business. You can still stay at the apartment, but I will move out. I am not comfortable with someone watching my every move. Azura immediately assumes that Amy was following her. Instead of actually talking it out, people in this story chose to make their own assumption instead of... Because, well, apparently, according to the story, communication is overrated. One of the stupidest way to establish tension and drama is miscommunication. Because it just shows the level of immaturity of the characters. And honestly, the writer. Apparently, at some point in the middle, in between that, Amy actually moved in with her sister. I don't know why they feel the need to skip over such important parts of this story. Part 7. Apparently, some time already passes since Razwell went missing, and I barely cared because this guy is so insignificant. So Pinky went to buy laksa from Razwell's mom, and then all of a sudden the mom just lashes out because apparently Razwell's mom blames Pinky for Razwell's disappearance. Why? And then we see Pinky just moping and brooding over Razwell's disappearance and stuff. And then all of a sudden she got this phone call, and then the person on the other end refused to say anything. It is said to be Razwell. Finally, see Razwell trying to tear up all of the posters, and he is looking really haggard. We got this flashback on why he went missing. At that night, after he beat up Pinky's ex-boyfriend, he had this moment of self-reflection or whatever. He felt like he lost control of his anger for the first time, and then he just walked, and then he ended up in some jungle, and then he just drifted off from society. But here's the thing, the story, up until his disappearance, we barely look properly at his character for me to feel anything about this transformation, whatever. He beat up someone once, and then he just gone. If we actually have the time to focus on his personality, to focus on his psyche for at least one chapter, that would have actually been effective. And then you get this really weird, damn, Razwil has abs, by the way. We're closer to the end, don't worry. Apparently, Azura is getting married to her sugar daddy. I don't know what Razwil sees in this woman. You don't even seem to care that the guy's missing, and then the guys show up and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, it's you! Am I supposed to care about this relationship? Dato is clearly jealous. Amy cut off contact with her sister, and then there's a picture of another dude, which is totally not obvious at all to be the sugar daddy's son. Shows that this dude has been stalking Azura and his dad, and then Azura had to break it to Razwil, saying that he is uninvited to the wedding because her future husband doesn't like to see the guy she friend-zoned in the event. I wonder why. And then all of a sudden Razwil is like so angry. He's like, I don't want to see you again. All of a sudden he's being very dramatic. Later, I don't know why we have this moment. It's supposed to be kind of a big shocking revelation that Pinky went to look for Amy. Yeah, I know that it's Amy. They're trying to hide her in the shadows here, as if like it's a surprising thing that she started to wear hijab and everything, as if like it's a big change for her. And I'm like, okay, good for her, she's wearing hijab, but like, why are you making it as if like she's changing her identity? She avoids her sister. She's not a fugitive. She's just avoiding because they had a fight. And then all of a sudden we get to see Razwil is attacked by, well, clearly the sugar daddy's goons. Well, Azura has been seriously assaulted. There's this dramatic scene at the hospital and everything. And then Azura had this moment where she realized that, you know, she has been ruining other people's family. She's the one that's sabotaging her relationship with her sister, and her relationship with her mom, and her relationship with, well, literally everyone. So Razwil was taken to the same hospital as Azura and everything, so everyone ended up having this big reunion. The sugar daddy, of course, know who did this to his fiance. The ending is so messy. So yeah, basically Dato went to jail for assaulting Razwil and also for attempting to kill his own son. His son was arrested for assaulting Azura. And then we get this stupid ending, and it is implied that she ended up marrying Razwil, the guy she friend-zoned, the guy that was never established whether she had feelings for him, that she's clearly just stringing him along, leading him on. The guy that I thought was better off with Pinky, and if not Pinky, better off with Amy, because they had a small moment. Still, with Amy is still a better match for him than Azura. I hate the story.